They say her final waltz still echoes through the halls of Pickwood Manor, carried on the breath of ruined stone and blackened ivy, a song meant not for the living, but for those who still owe their dead a debt. Detective Adrian Vance had heard the legend before. Whispers traded like ghost stories during restless nights at the precinct. An abandoned estate, a vanished duchess, a dance reserved for those too guilty to rest. It sounded like nonsense to most, but Adrian didn't come for the story. He came for her. Pickwood awaited him like a corpse left to rot under too many forgotten winters. Its stained glass windows wept rainwater and dust. Ivy clothed the blistered walls in a creeping shroud of black, knotted like veins, and its great oak doors, impossibly, hung ajar, silent, as if the house itself had been waiting. Adrian hesitated at the threshold. A flicker of regret, sudden and sharp, bloomed in his chest. Not just for Lillian, for all the faces he had abandoned, all the hearts he had stolen, used, discarded like crumpled notes. I always thought I could charm my way back to innocence, he thought bitterly, as if love could erase the things I'd done. But innocence had never been his to reclaim. He stepped inside. The air consumed him, thick and sickly with the scent of mildew, regret, and something sweeter hidden beneath it all, wilting lilies. Each step stirred the filmy dust of memories that weren't his. On the walls hung portraits, their faces warped by time. Looking closer, Adrian felt the unmistakable ache of familiarity. Those features, those eyes, that smile. He could have sworn he'd kissed it once long ago. But as his gaze wavered, so did the face, dissolving into obscurity. Yet now and then, he swore he recognized them, the curve of a cheek, a smile he'd once kissed under lies and candlelight. Ahead, the corridor opened into the remnants of grandeur, the ballroom. Moonlight spilled through holes punched in the ceiling like a pale, broken flood. Cracked marble glimmered, its surface trembling faintly beneath his advancing shadow. And there, in the center, she waited. Her gown bore the stains of betrayal, a fabric no longer silk, but a tapestry of agony. It hung in tatters, fluttering as though it still longed to dance. Torn lace veiled her features, but beneath its shadow, a face that struck Adrian like a blow to his chest. Everything inside him froze. Lillian. He knew it couldn't be her. He knew that much, instinctively. Knew it the way a man knows when his last breath is coming. And yet, when she raised her trembling hand, he found his feet moving toward her. Across the threshold, as though summoned. Their fingertips brushed, and the world shuddered. The chandeliers above, dead for decades, wheezed into flickering life, their jets of pale flames licking the air. A numb chill surged into Adrian's spine, curling down his limbs, tangling him with hers. Light blazed between them, soft, silver, and merciless. And then the sound of strings. A waltz, low, mournful. A song stitched from lost dreams and broken vows. Lillian's hand, so delicate and cold, slid into his. And from somewhere buried deep in his soul, Adrian moved. They danced, round and round the shattered ballroom, amid rivers of moonlight and puddles of shadow. With each turn, Adrian felt pieces of himself slipping away, scattering like forgotten stardust. At first, the words came easy, hoarse apologies falling from his lips. "Forgive me, please." But she said nothing, only held him tighter. The waltz twisted onward, her face, once heartbreakingly familiar, hollowed. Her soft mouth became something jagged and cruel. Yet her grip, iron and unyielding, kept him moving. Flashes of memory crashed open, fragments he'd buried deep enough to fool himself. The bar girl, red hair and laughing, his wedding ring shoved deep into his pocket to stay hidden. His trembling hands shaking powder into a champagne glass without a flicker of hesitation. Their wedding night. Lillian collapsing, her breath stolen not by love, but by death. Her last words burning like a brand on his name. Forever, he had not lost her. He had destroyed her, burned her vows before the ink had dried. And somewhere, buried far away from the world, the real Adrian Vance was a hollow man, a murderer, a liar masquerading as something noble. The ballroom seemed tangled in the agony of their spiraling dance. Marble cracked in sprawling veins. Mirrors trembled and shattered outward, sending jagged shards across the floor. But none of them held Adrian's reflection. He stumbled. Her fingers, no longer soft but clawed, twisted deeper into him, binding him. There was no escape. The light faded as candles puffed out, one by one, snuffing hope and leaving only despair. The music slowed, its mournful tune dragging their bodies toward the end, then shattered outward in violent bursts. No reflection, no man, only emptiness. And with each step, her hands grew colder, and his heart heavier, like she was dancing the life out of him. He stumbled, her fingers, no longer delicate but clawed, latched onto his soul. There was no escape, no absolution. Adrian collapsed into the truth of what he was, a murderer, a betrayer, a man who had deserved this fate years ago. The last note fractured into silence. Adrian Vance, the detective, the liar, disintegrated into dust. Only a whisper of regret remained, floating in the tides of moonlight. And in the center of the ballroom, she stood still, smiling beneath her tattered veil, arms open, waiting. Pickwood Manor sighed against the mist, and somewhere outside, two sets of footprints walked side by side, only to vanish into the hollow fog. Somewhere, miles away, a lonely podcast crackled into life.
Welcome back to Missing Files, the podcast where cold cases find new light. If you have any information about Detective Adrian Vance's disappearance last year, last seen investigating Pickwood Manor.
The recording fizzled into static. No one would ever find him. Inside Pickwood, the violin rose again, sighing, aching, summoning. And in the cracks of the marble floor, Adrian's final whisper lingered. Forever yours. The manor would open its doors again soon enough. It always did when the scent of guilt grew strong enough to reach the grave. Waiting for the next